Good Friday and welcome to our show. Today we have with us an absolute badass, you guys, one of the most powerful and inspiring women that we know. Sharon Lechter is an internationally recognized as a financial literacy expert. She's a big deal, you guys. I think very highly of you. Keynote speaker and business mentor. She's a New York Times best-selling author. She co-authored the international bestseller Rich Dad Poor Dad, along with 14 other books in the Rich Dad series, also known for her best-selling books, 3 Feet from Gold, Outwitting the Devil, and Think and Grow Rich for Women. Sharon is currently launching her newest title, Exit Rich, to support entrepreneurs in building value and scalability in their businesses so that they can be in the position of greatest potential. And today we get the pleasure of learning directly from the source, Sharon Lechter, on how to scale your life and put yourself in a position where you can reach your highest potential. So you guys, let's give Sharon Lechter the warmest welcome that the ENS Army can ever give. Love that. Sharon, have you ever seen this before?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. I love that. So, you have a very, very special superpower. And, I would say that your superpower is your ability to help millions of people. Now, before we talk about where are you now, let's talk about what led you to defining your purpose. Like, was it a certain moment or a series of experiences that led to that?
Well, I think I've been around a long time. But the really defining moment for me getting into financial literacy and education was when my oldest son went off to college and came home in credit card debt. So I was pretty mad at him, but even more mad at myself. And that was December of 1992. And so I talk about people, you find your passion. Your passion can be from something you love or something you're mad about. And I was pretty mad that we weren't teaching kids about money in school. And I'm as passionate about that today as I was back then. So that was kind of a defining moment on, all successful businesses solve a problem or serve a need. And before that, my kids didn't like to read. And I met the inventor of the first talking children's book, if you remember these, and I helped build this around the world. So, they didn't exist in 1987. We launched this company and we had this great idea to get kids excited about reading, but then kids didn't have technology. It was, dinosaur days, no Amazon, no internet. And we said, how can we get parents to trust us? And that's when we aligned with Disney, Warner Brothers, Sesame Street, Marvel Comics. And so it was wonderful to see this just explode around the world in a positive way. But the true definition of when you're on purpose was when I got so angry about financial education. And I'm as passionate about it today as I was back then.
I love it. So
she just said what happens when you're on purpose. That was,
yeah,
my mind went a lot of places.
Yeah, that is very powerful. So a quick side story with regards to how I came across you. I remember that I was 2 years into my entrepreneurial journey, and I'm an immigrant, so I was going through, an immigration process, and I had to travel somewhere, and I connected with one of my friends wherever I traveled, and we had a conversation, and with good friends you have deep conversations, and they will tell you the truth. And she said to me, she's like, Sarit, you've been doing this thing for 2 years and nothing in your life has changed. Like, why the heck are you even doing this? Now, when you know that you're on purpose, you know that there is something bigger than yourself. But I got so mad because I was like, what the heck am I doing wrong? So I was like, I remember I came home and I told Erin, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to find the answer. And I looked up books on Amazon, and the first book that I saw was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I was like, it opened up my mind. I'm like, I actually don't know anything. How the heck? I've been working with mentors for 2 years, and like nothing like was really working for me. And ever since that book, it's like things have started to click, and it's just like, you know, like a mind-blowing experience. But you know, we live in this society nowadays where, you know, this topic of money is just very, very taboo. And I know that this is something that's really close to your heart, but you know, as you can see, that our community is predominantly women, and I feel like women especially are, you know, very scared to talk about money and forget about even opening up the conversation about the pursuit of wealth. So I would like to hear, you know, straight from the source, like for one, like how do you feel about wealth, and you know, if you find that to be ethical, why do you find that to be an ethical thing to pursue wealth?
Well, certainly. Well, I think, the issue is success can help you make a bigger difference in the world. So there's nothing wrong with being successful. We're built on helping others. And so it's very important to focus on, as I said, successful businesses solve a problem or serve a need. And when somebody's on purpose, just look at the two of you. You're obviously on purpose. We know you enjoy every minute of what you do, those giant smiles you always have. But it's important, the goal to be financially free doesn't have to be millions of dollars. You, you're financially free when income from your assets, my favorite word on earth, assets, by the way, when your income from your assets exceeds your monthly expenses. It doesn't have to be millions of dollars. And so when I first met Robert Kiyosaki and we wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad, he was living in a small 2-bedroom condo and had 2 small apartment complexes. They were generating $100,000 of passive income a year, and his living expenses were around 35. He was financially free. That's the message I want people to get. And so wealth comes from what you do with that. Okay. And as you become more successful, you get your time back. But we're taught in school. That's why our mindset is so screwed up. We're taught to be employees. We're taught to exchange time for money. It's hard to get ahead when you're exchanging time for money because there's only so many hours in the day and so many days in the week. So take your brilliance, what you've learned in doing that, and turn it into an asset. So you invest your time creating an asset that lives outside of you. And that asset can start generating income, and your time is back to go on to create the next asset or to buy the next asset. And so when you get to that point, your income from your assets exceeds your monthly expenses. The second book I wrote in the Rich Dad series was called Cash Flow Quadrant. And in fact, I think I have one on my desk here. It shows the 4 ways we make money and think about money. Okay. Employee, self-employed. This is what school teaches us to do. Exchanging time for money. But it gets tiring because you're basically own a job, even if you think you own a business. And so my superpower, as you referenced, is to help people move to the right side, how to take their intelligence, their expertise, their brilliance, and create income producing assets. Take the income that you receive and reinvest it in other assets so that you have the opportunity to build wealth, because the amount of wealth you can make as a business owner or investor is unlimited, infinite. But the amount you can make as an employee or self-employed is finite. And too many of us, particularly women, only 4.2% of women-owned businesses exceed $1 million a year. I'm out to change that because I want people to understand you don't do it alone. The personal success equation that I released in my book, 3 Feet from Gold, is talking about combining your passion and your talent. And as I said, my passion came from anger, and my talent was being a CPA for more years than I want to admit, and a lot of publishing. And I could have stopped there to try to do it on my own, and that's what most of us do. But true success comes from that power of association, as I shared the Disney example. Our power of association, having the right people on your team, having the right mentor. Too many of us are afraid to get a mentor. Well, a mentor will see more for you than you can see for yourself. They'll open doors for you. They'll speed your way to success. They've been where you want to go. Times A, taking action. How many times do we know what we're supposed to do? We just don't do it. Anybody feel busted? I see a few heads going like this. Passion plus talent times A for association times A for taking action. And then the last element is F for faith. Having faith in yourself, having faith in what you're doing, having faith that it's needed and necessary, and having faith that you will succeed. Now, when I start working with people, it's usually that power of association and faith, that self-confidence that need the most work. They don't have the right people around them. They are not in the environment for growth. Now, all of you are, because you're right here together. You're supporting each other, but having that power of association, maybe you need one more contact to take your business to the next level. And self-confidence. So many people go, oh, easy for her to say. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not skinny enough. And that's that self-limiting beliefs that come from when we were kids. And so that F instead of faith is fear.
Mm.
And that fear holds you back. It can come from when you were a kid. Your parents might have said, we can't afford it all the time. Money doesn't grow on trees. Pinch your pennies, save for a rainy day. All of those comments have one thing in common. They're negative. They're negative. And so you grow up hearing money negative, money negative, money negative, money negative. No wonder we end up with this mindset of scarcity. And then once we become successful, we're afraid we're going to lose it because we never adjusted the mindset. And so the whole essence of Rich Dad Poor Dad was to help people change their mindsets about money. Cash Flow Quadrant blew up their mindset about money to understand the power of asset. And so everything I do and write is about teaching people how to create income producing assets. Assets are sexy because the older you get, the sexier they become. And it's important to know if you want to have in control of your life, you want to be the CEO of your own life, you need to be in control of your money, not allow your money to control you. And that's so that the essence of what I teach is mindset. Be in control of your money and assets, creating, buying, building income producing assets.
This is gold. And by the way, for those of you guys listening, like, you know, Sharon is such a genius. Like, I would define a genius as somebody who's not only like has knowledge, has deployed the knowledge, you got to practice what you preach, but also has this ability to simplify what seems to be these complicated terms. And, you know, Rich Dad Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant, like they just simplify the money game. Outwitting the Devil, though, that one is all about mindset. That and 3 Feet from Gold. So you guys definitely make sure that you, you know, like read these books if you're like, man, like this speaks to my soul. Because Sharon, like I saw as you were talking, like some people, it's almost like you could see like it just like it hit home for them. Man, this is so fabulous. So
yeah, Outwitting the Devil is definitely a game changer because it's about understanding where that fear came from and then blasting it away. And it was actually written by Napoleon Hill back in 1938 because he had just released the incredible book Think and Grow Rich after 25 years of work. And when he released it, he was frustrated because he says, here I have this thesis on success. So, you know, follow these steps, you will be successful. But people won't do it. And he understood that they wouldn't do it because of fear. And he added that last chapter, The 6 Ghosts of Fear, but he was still frustrated. And he sat down in 1938 and in a few short months wrote Outwitting the Devil. It scared his wife to death. She was working for the Presbyterian College and she forbid it to be published. And it got locked away for 73 years. And I was so honored and thrilled. The month I released 3 Feet from Gold, Don Green called me and said, I have this manuscript. I don't know what to do with it. And I was like, oh my gosh, do I need more negativity in my life? And my daughter's a minister and she's like, I need to pray over you, Mom. But I got the manuscript and I was probably only the fourth or fifth person to read it. It was so impactful to me that I called Don. I said, we have to get this out. Because our whole goal when I started working with the foundation during 2008 was to bring Napoleon Hill teaching to the younger generation, which is all of you that I can see on the screen. So many of your peers have never heard of Napoleon Hill or never heard of Think and Grow Rich. And so that was my endeavor, first with 3 Feet from Gold, but Outwitting the Devil has really taken the world by storm because it is a little irreverent. It's a little in your face, but it is so revealing about how things hold us back. I mean, he takes on every taboo: sex, politics, religion, education, alcohol, cigarettes, every one of them. In fact, he challenges cigarettes before the world, before there was any evidence that they were bad for you. He talks about it. So he was definitely a man before his time. And his insights help you identify those things that might be holding you back. And then he talks about how to break through them. Definiteness of purpose, knowing your purpose. When you're not on purpose, you're drifting, going with the flow. You end up living a life of reaction instead of being proactive. And my entire career, everything I do is help people become proactive about their future, proactive about their purpose, proactive about being in control of their money, not reactive. And, in the book, he says there's only 2% of the population that actually have control of their own mind. They have that definiteness of purpose. I want all of you to be part of that 2%. But again, it talks about mastery over self-discipline. All right. That's one I still have to work on every single day. And then learning from adversity. Napoleon Hill says, out of every adversity comes a seed of an equal or greater benefit. All of you on this screen have been faced with challenges, whether it be a death, a divorce, a financial setback, an illness, but you're still here, and you're still here for a reason. You've been through it, and the way you survived and what you've learned by it, you can now help others going through the same thing. And that's the beauty of Outwitting the Devil. It helps you see possibilities for yourself. And it also helps identify those sources of fear that you can then release. And so when you start feeling that fear tug on you, you can turn it into energy to keep moving forward. But then he also talks very powerful power of your environment. Control the environment you're in, control what you're letting in your brain. Control what you're watching, what you're reading, controlling who you're hanging out with, and then control over your time. Back to how I first started. Are you spending your time? When we first started this pandemic, I used to just roll my eyes. People say I'm changing my day pajamas for my night pajamas, or I'm watching, chilling and watching Netflix all day. It's like, what an opportunity we have right now to invest this time in creating our future. Invest this time in getting healthier. Invest this time in saying, what is my business going to look like? Let me get prepared for when the world opens back up. And so, yeah, Outwitting the Devil. It's just an incredible book. I mean, I got this manuscript. I was probably only the 4th or 5th person ever to read it, because Napoleon Hill typed it on an old-fashioned typewriter, and he had handwritten notes in the margins. And it was just like I was having a conversation with him. It was really an awesome experience.
I have to say, like, you just summed up that book, but none of us should take that at its value. Like, that book needs to be read by like, your mind will be blown. If there's something that's holding you back, you will be exposed in that book. You will be exposed. I listen to it every day when I'm warming up for my workout, even like over and over, just like replaying, because anger and like frustration is one of the things that I have had, like, historically the most difficult time with, is like lack of patience. And just like, that book was like, basically what I had felt like was like, okay, it's me versus the devil. And when I get angry, he's scoring points and I'm losing. And so, you're going to have your own kind of mindset or perspective shift when you get called out on the thing or the things that feel like you're like, are your demons, I guess, so it's so powerful. And I wrote that success formula on our whiteboard. I was like, this is genius. Talent. Well, it was a T plus passion plus talent plus association plus action plus faith is success. So everybody needs, that book is game changing.
I had a gal come up to me at an event before COVID, so 2 years ago now, and she had just had the personal success equation tattooed on her arm, in her arm. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. It was amazing. Passion plus talent times association times action plus faith. And that's your personal, and it's different for each of you. Only you can answer those questions. But yeah, if you go to personalsuccessequation.com, I have a guide there. It's free for you to walk through and say, am I on purpose? Maybe, what associations might I need? How can I expand, and how can I go to the next level? Because a lot of times when we talk about fear, he talks about fear of criticism, or fear of poverty, or loss of love, or fear of old age. But I really think fear of criticism is a pervasive one in our society today, because I do this exercise when I have a group of, when I'm in a live group, but I'll practice with you guys. I want you all to write down, when I ask, who are you, right? Write down one word descriptors of who you are. So for me, when I did it, it was grandmother, mother, author, entrepreneur. Just write down 4 or 5 different, who are you? And when I do this every time, fewer than 2 people out of 100 will have written down their own name. So did any of you write down your own name? I want to see. I don't see anybody waving. Yeah. And that's because in today's society, we judge ourselves through the eyes of others. We judge ourselves through the roles we play. And it's taken me a long time, and I need probably a little bit more of Erin Sarit's teachings, because I haven't taken care of myself physically as much as I should. And so when you put yourself first, now all of you write your own names on top of your list, because if you are a better Erin, if you're a better Ashley, a better Tiffany, a better Sharon, a better Fran, going across the top of my screen, then you will be a better everything else in those roles. But we tend to put ourselves last. And the other aspect is, people, you start feeling judged by other people. Well, that's their problem, not yours. You're the only person, you're the only one there. You're the only Pamela, you're the only Stacy, you're the only Teresa. Be the best one you can be, because you were a gift, and stand in your own power. But as a world, we judge ourselves. We feel bad when somebody's judging us, or we're on social media and FOMO, we're afraid, we're being left out. Well, you know what? There's probably a reason somewhere along the line, because you're here for your purpose, for your goal, and you're an expert. Nobody's had your successes. Nobody's had your learning opportunities. But let's change an expert to the expert, and then elevate yourself to becoming the authority. And that allows you to stand in your own power, become your own. Too many people say, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. Baloney. That means you're giving up your power. You're waiting for someone else to bring that light to you. Every one of you, I can see on the faces, you guys are your own beacons of light. Stand powerful in that. And then you'll attract others towards you, just like you've been attracted to this group.
So powerful. Thank you so much. You guys, like, the game of money is the game of life. Like, it's nothing but a game. You just have to get around the right people who have the answers, and just like immerse yourself. Gosh, I'm so grateful for this, because this is just pure gold. Did you want to add anything? Because I want to transition, because at the beginning you were talking about income producing assets. So now I could only imagine that, a few of our listeners could perhaps be overwhelmed, because we're now talking about this like big term of income producing assets. And the reality is that, 76% of Americans, and that's pre-COVID, have been, living paycheck to paycheck, right? So like debt is a real big thing. So it's like, based on like, how can somebody who, let's say, who is currently like, struggling with debt, like start thinking along those lines of income producing assets? Can you give us like some examples maybe?
Well, a couple of tips. First, when you figure out you're in a bad situation, most of us put our head in the sand. So first, figure out how bad it really is. Take the time to look at your finances and figure out where you are. Even if the picture is bleak, you'll feel empowered because you actually looked at it to determine it. And then, in addition to figuring out where you can tighten your belt, let's look at ways to create additional income. Now, many of you may, if you're an employee, you think, well, I don't have the time. You still have as much time in the week as we do. Can you set aside 5 hours to do something new? And maybe if you need to generate the extra cash flow, become an affiliate for somebody that you believe in. It's not your own business, but it's a way for you to generate cash flow. And it's much easier today than it was 10 years ago because of the electronics. But believe in them, support it, and get that cash flow. But use that cash flow to start investing. Invest and understand diversification of assets is very important. But most financial planners are talking about diversification of paper, bonds, mutual funds across paper assets. I talk about diversification across all asset categories, which is businesses, owning your own business, having paper assets, stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, owning investment real estate, and intellectual property. All of those are assets. Have a little bit of each of them and help them grow. My husband and I just recently got involved with EXP Realty because I believe in the formula it presents for anybody that is a real estate agent. Most agents just chase commission to commission to commission to commission. And within this company, which is cutting edge virtual, you can have people in your organization all over the world instead of being limited to one geographic location. But most importantly, in addition to the transactional side of real estate, you have the ability to do your own investing. And every time you have a transaction, you earn stock in the company. And so you're getting that equity piece, you're getting that asset that can support you. So you're getting that additional kicker, that additional benefit from your real estate business. And so always look at how can I find and create assets. We didn't get involved. My husband's not going to be selling real estate. We got involved in it because we believe in the model and we want to help other people find that new career for themselves where they not only work hard and make money, but they actually build equity investment as well.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So, you guys, as you can see, it doesn't matter where you're at. Everybody has an opportunity to, create for themselves income producing assets. And, one of our mentors, which, Grant Cardone, always says, with commitment comes creativity. So it doesn't matter which income producing asset you're focusing on, you have to make a commitment first. And, Sharon, maybe if you can just talk about the concept of just like the compound effect with time, because, we live in the 21st century and, I'm sure that all these like social media ads don't help things, but, like concepts like, get rich in 90 days, blah, blah, blah. And of course, like we see these shiny objects, it's really easy to get distracted, but what is the real game like?
Well, that's a fantastic question. Let me start by saying there's never been more charlatans online than there are today. And a lot of them have a really slick sales pitch and really snazzy looking artwork. Be your own CEO and do your due diligence. Make sure that they have earned the right to teach you. Make sure that they have created the success they say they have. And be very, you're the captain of your own ship. So make sure you make the decisions that propel you forward. But make those decisions because, and thinking rich, I say indecision is a decision. But in doing your own planning, understand you have to build that foundational wealth. And if you have a business, that's what the whole concept of my new book, Exit Rich, we're going to talk about is how you build that foundation in your business. When you're building a house, you go down first. You have to build the foundation in order for that house to be strong. You have to put in the plumbing system. You have to put in the electric system. Those create that house that it will stand forever for you to live. Same thing with your business. Too many people get so enamored with what they're doing and selling and making money that they don't put in the systems and the structure of their business just so that it can scale. A lot of people have wonderfully successful companies that implode because they can't meet the demand. And so I teach people, it's, the essence of what you need to do to build that foundation, the legal side, the available resources, having the right people on your team, having the right mission, being the right leader, so that you have a business that's not just successful, but it's sustainable. Most aren't. And then scalable, so you can duplicate that, and then saleable. Now, you don't have to sell it, but you have something that you want to create generational wealth, you want to leave to your family, you need to build in that structure now. And the beauty of what we share in Exit Rich is also, if you're going to invest in somebody else's business, use this as a guide to ask them these questions to see that you're investing in something that truly has been put together properly so that it can survive the test of time. A lot of people have overnight success and then fail because they've not put the structure and foundation into their business.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. So from what I'm hearing so far is that income producing assets are nothing but a vehicle to scale your life by generating wealth, correct?
Yeah, that's the definition of financial freedom, is when the income from your assets exceeds your monthly expenses. That means that if you get sick, if you decide to take an extended vacation, your income's not impacted because those assets are working for you. I mean, the simplest example is you have a rental property. And that rental property, you have a tenant and they're paying you every month. Maybe they're paying you $1,000 rent and your related mortgage and expenses is $600. Every single month, you've got $400 in cash flow. And other than depositing the check, that's all you have to do once you get it up and running. And so that's an income producing asset. Having the simplest form of an online program or writing a book to share your knowledge and expertise. You put it onto the system so that people can access it 24/7. And you wake up in the morning and see that you've sold 50 of them overnight while you were sleeping. That's an income producing asset. Yes, you put in the energy and time and effort to create it up front, but then you can impact more people. I have a private Facebook group called the Play Big Movement with Sharon Lechter. It's totally organic. It's free to join. But what it is I want, when I saw people playing too small, and I want you to be number one in your field. I want you to live your legacy, because your legacy is not when you're gone. It's right now. You're creating your legacy with every heart you touch, and to create maximum impact. If you're playing too small, you're not reaching as many people as you could. So I want to elevate you to the point where you are playing big. You're being number one in your field, the authority, you're living your legacy and creating maximum impact.
Love that. Love that. And Erin just dropped a link for that Facebook group so that you guys could join as well. Highly recommend that you guys do so. So let's talk about the concept of scaling. For one, can you just share with us, if somebody's hearing this for the first time, what does scaling even mean?
Well, as you said, Grant Cardone, that's everything he talks about, 10X, right? Scaling. So scaling is taking your proven model and duplicating it, right? So that you have the ability to expand. Now, it may very well be that you're just 10Xing and using marketing to expand what you're doing, or you may actually take up your business, think of McDonald's, and place it in another geographic location. That's scaling, because you've had established systems that are written that anybody can follow so that people can see it, follow it, and it's a lot easier to manage a system than it is to manage people. And so it's very important to create those systems that allow you to pick it up and have somebody follow the operations manual and know how to create that business and how to grow it. Plus, it adds value to your company. In Exit Rich, we talk about 6 P's. And so the first one is your people. Do you have the right people on your team? Do you have the right mentor? Then your product. What is your product or service? And then your processes, those your business systems. How do you do your business? How do you answer the phone? How do you source your products? How do you manufacture them? How do you sell them? How do you collect? How do you establish customer base? How do you manage? What's your customer journey or your funnels I like to use the word customer journey. Those are your systems. And then proprietary means what makes you unique? What gives you your competitive advantage? That proprietary information is intellectual property. That's your intangible assets. And so many companies don't take the time to identify it, which means they don't protect it, which means they don't leverage it. And then you have your patrons. Now, many of you on here probably have very large social media followings, and that's great. But those are lead gen because you don't own those names. And Facebook and Instagram can turn you off at a moment's notice. You want to invite them. You want to have that incredible lead gen. You want to have all those people, and you want to take sure of getting them excited, but you also want to bring them home. You want to nurture them, have them, give them a reason, give them a gift to bring them into your database, because then they become a true asset. And then you can nurture that database and elevate that engagement, and they want to be there, because when you send something out to your database, they all get it. You don't know they open it. You can't always control that they open it, but at least you know it's been delivered. And that gives you huge valuation. Many companies are purchased simply for their databases. And a lot of people today, a lot of young people today aren't focusing on their database. They're just focusing on their social media imprint. And so number one issue for me in building valuation in your company, bring them home, entice them to come into your database. And then you get to the 6P, which is profits. Now, it's sixth because all those other things ensure that you're going to make profit that's sustainable and scalable. So you can scale by having the right systems in place. The mentors that got you to where you are today may not be the mentors that can take you to where you go. You scale by having people that want to share what you do through affiliations. And so you can scale by hitting a new audience, or you can scale by going to a new country. Scale simply means taking what you have and duplicating it.
What was number 5?
Patrons. So the 6, let's make sure we got that right. People, product, process, proprietary, patrons, and profit.
Yep.
Love that. Amazing.
Nice, Mark.
So, side question, I can only help but to assume, again, this is just based off everything that you said, that perhaps maybe, integrating, an affiliation with a multi-level marketing is an income producing asset. Is that correct?
Okay, repeat the question.
Affiliating with a multi-level marketing company, would you consider that an income producing asset?
Your downline is, if you, depending on how that company suits it. So if you yes, if you're part of a network marketing company and you have established you're tying into existing systems, so you don't own the system, that's not an asset to you, but you own a business that has a chain of individuals earning power to you. And so some companies, even you can, if you die, your family can inherit it. All right. That is truly an asset. Now, some companies have very strict rules. And if you don't produce, you get kicked out, or if you don't meet certain requirements, you get kicked out. Those are less of an asset, but they do generate tremendous passive income. And so I always say, no matter what you're doing in network marketing, if you're successful, it's what you do with the money that you make. All right. So take that cash, that passive cash flow, and reinvest it in assets so that you continue to build it. So it can be either the asset itself or the funding source for you to have other assets.
Thank you for sharing that. And the reason why I was asking that is because a lot of the audience are affiliated with network marketing companies. You guys, like, it is at your fingertips. You just have to immerse yourself with the right people who have the right information and make that commitment. Did you want to say anything?
Yeah.
I want to talk about your book, Exit Rich. Can you give us like a 101 on what is this book about? What inspired you to, write this book? You wrote so many incredible books, but why Exit Rich, and how is that different from any other book that you wrote?
Well, this is probably the most specific content book that I've ever written, because my more than I want to admit years of experience combined with my co-author, Michelle Seiler Tucker, who's the #1 business broker, female business broker in the country, and she's a mergers and acquisition specialist. I wanted to participate because this book allows people to understand the how-tos. Okay. There's a whole lot of mindset books out there. Many of them I've written, right? But this is simply how to create that foundational element of your business. I have a program, Essential Components of a Successful Business. All right. It's $1,400, I think, on my website. But this is advanced copy is only $24. So for $24, you have the essence of that program and how to build that foundation of your business. And it goes through those 6 P's. So it's a very, very clearly defined process to go through to check yourself. Say, how can I add value to my business? What am I doing? What am I not doing? What 1 or 2 things can I change that will elevate the profit of my business? And so I wrote it because so many people are frustrated, and so many people who think they own a business own a job because they're still trying to do everything themselves. And part of, as I said earlier, one of my missions is to help women get over $1 million. Too few businesses make over $1 million. And you can't do that without the elements and applying the elements in that I have in Exit Rich. So whether you have a $100,000 business, $1 million business, or a $50 million business, there's value in Exit Rich that can help you take yourself to the next level.
Love it. Love it. And by the way, you guys can get your hands on Sharon's new book, Exit Rich, by going to exitrich.com/buy. You know, with every single book, if you just take one thing, that could be like the catalyst to the rest of your life. And I mean, just by hearing about these 6 concepts, I already know that, like, you know, there is at least 6 seeds that could grow into just like, you know, an undestructible like machine if you make that commitment. Do you have anything to say?
No, I thought you were going to ask a question.
No, I don't have.
I thought you said, what's the one thing?
With every book, there is this one thing.
Sometimes we get overwhelmed. All right. So even during this last 45 minutes together, you know, I've been spewing information and regurgitating a lot of stuff. But is there one thing, in fact, in the chat, I'd love to hear if there was one thing that hit you that you wrote down, one element, you know, that's the goal. For instance, I read the book Think and Grow Rich every year since I was 19, and that was a long time ago. And I share, the book doesn't change, but I do. And I reread it and I'll see something in it that I don't remember ever being there the last 100 times I read the book, but that's what I needed to see this time I read it. Mm-hmm. And so it's about creating who you are today and finding that element, that one thing that's going to make tomorrow better than today. And so don't be, and that's what happens when people go to events. They just get so overwhelmed. They got 18 pages of notes and they go home and do nothing. So commit to yourself to have one item, one thing. And I think that's what Erin was talking about. One thing that will help change your life. I think it was Sarah, not Erin, but understand that take one element that you can take action on. Remember, action is part of the personal success equation.
I love it. I do have a side question, and I'm curious, from your own life experience, if there were like 3 money habits that you're like, you know what, I would highly recommend that you hone in on this. Like, do you kind of like have a general like blanket, like 3 habit statement maybe with regards to finances?
Well, with every dollar you get and receive, you have a choice. Is it going to propel you forward or is it going to pull you back? Are you going to spend it or are you going to invest it? That's the #1 issue. And #2 is create a spending plan, not a budget. Budget is negative, so I don't use that word. Create a spending plan. Look and see where you've spent your money. And then you can go and find national averages. I have a money mastery program that I have that share, but I'm not trying to promote that. You can Google it and compare how you spent your money to the national averages. It can help you identify that first area, that maybe the one area where you need to start concentrating. But then also think abundance. What more can I do? What more can I create? I'm not sure if I mentioned this yet. This is my third interview today, so forgive me. But when COVID started, I was totally done with all the negativity in the world. I was mad. And usually when I get mad, I do things. So I launched something called ATM, and it's a daily message called Abundance, Tips, and Mentorship. It's, of course, a role play on the word ATM, bank deposits. But this is a daily deposit of abundance, tips, and mentorship that help people fill their mind, their subconscious mind, with positive things. And every one of them I end with the phrase, "You are fabulous." And I wasn't planning to share this with you, but it's atm.sharonlechter.com. And I do it because I'm so tired of all the negativity and the complaining and the criticizing that we're hearing. I won't even listen to the news anymore. And I want to hear a resounding chorus around the world as "I'm fabulous," because every one of you are. And we allow ourselves to be pulled down with the negativity we have in the world. So you can check it out. It's like $8 a month. It's atm.sharonlechter.com. And I just love it because I get these messages from people. "Oh my God, your ATM today was exactly what I needed to hear." And that fuels me up and keeps me going forever. So
That's amazing. I'm like, when I grow up, I want to be like Sharon. This is like just a real quick, you said don't spend, invest. What's the difference?
well, spending your time as your hourly wage, a commission, you're exchanging time for money, or you're sitting watching TV. That's spending time. And the only precious resource we have is time. We can make money, lose money, and make money back. But once your time is gone, it's gone. Investing your time means definiteness of purpose. What am I doing right now that's going to help propel me forward? I'm reading, I'm learning, I'm spending time with people like we are right now, this moment, at this day, in this moment. You are investing your time being here, and I appreciate each and every one of you being here. You're investing your time to learn. You're investing your time on your business. You're investing time with your children. Or you are investing time in creating a better relationship. I think it was yesterday's show, you guys were talking about communication. All right. Investing time in understanding how to better communicate. Same thing with mindset over money. We were taught we can't afford it. That shuts your mind down. It's negative. You want to turn off the lights and get under the covers. And I go, stop it. And how many of us are saying that to our children? And so instead of saying something like that, catch yourself and change your wording, your communication, and say, how can we afford it? Do you feel the difference? How can we afford it? It opens your mind to the world of possibilities. It triggers your entrepreneurial spirit. You want to find ways. And when you say that to your kids, instead of saying we can't afford it, say, how can you afford it, to Johnny or Maria or Juan? And they get really creative if they want something, and they find ways to do it. And what happens is you've now had to have a child who has set a goal, achieved it, and celebrating it, and you see their self-confidence rise right in front of you instead of we can't afford it, end of sentence, negative. And so wouldn't the world be a lot better if we would uplift people and encourage that curiosity and creativity to do something that they've never done before? One of them, I always ask people, when was the last time you did something for the first time? Okay. And at my age, all right, I'm 67. I challenge myself to do things I've never done before, because that keeps us alive. It keeps us curious. It keeps you creative, and it triggers that entrepreneurial spirit. So ask yourselves, when was the last time you did something for the first time?
when was the last time you did something for the first time? I don't know about you, but it's like the highest honor to hear you say that you watched our show. I'm just saying that side note. Um, and then also like what makes it an investment though? How does somebody determine it? And let's talk about like spending money, because a lot of people are like, I don't have, somebody told me the other day, I don't have disposable income. I was like, I'm not asking you to dispose of your income. That would be throwing it in the garbage can. I am asking you to invest it in something. And to me, it's like something that moves you forward, whether it's your time or your money. It's something that like makes you better, makes you more valuable as a person, gives you a new skill, you know, adds quality to your life, something like that, versus like buying a new pair of shoes because there was a cool color on the side and like nothing's going to happen with it. So to you, what makes it an investment?
Well, for instance, I think it's 79% of people in a recent poll said that they believed in mentors are important. Only 37% of the people that were polled said that they actually had one. And yet the stats are showing that people who have mentors make more money and exceed and succeed higher levels than those who don't. So the stats are all there. But why do people not invest in themselves by having a mentor? Because their money habits stink. And so when you want to invest in your future, you want to surround yourself with people who have been where you want to go. You want to surround with people who know the knowledge, not give you opinions, but give you counsel and wisdom that accelerate your success. That's investing your time as well as investing your money. And investing money can be as little as putting it in the stock market, but make sure you know what you're doing, get a little education, buying a real estate property, putting money into a REIT if you don't want to do a real estate property on your own, but also invest the time to write a book, create an online program, do some videos that can become income generators for you. That's investing time and money that can give you long-term rewards.
Appreciate it. And eating clean, going to bed on time, and working out is a time investment as well. Man, this was so powerful. We're so extremely grateful for you. You guys, there you have it. Just a reminder that you can get Sharon's new book, Exit Rich, by going to exitrichbook.com/buy. Sharon Lechter, Think and Grow Rich, Think and Grow Rich for Women, 3 Feet from Gold, Outwitting the Devil, over 26 million books sold, and now Exit Rich. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for your teachings. They're so extremely valuable. You guys go get Sharon's new book and go get the rest of her books because they're all equally as life-changing. Thank you guys for investing your time with us, and thank you, Sharon, for investing your time with us because we know how truly valuable it is.
Well, thank you.
Guys. Sharon, this is how we end every interview and every call, with a big heart.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you all, and I just love all of the great smiles on the camera here. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time today. Take care, you guys. Have a beautiful weekend.
See ya.